Hi Year 11, I'm Miss Morrow and I'm really looking forward to meeting you. Welcome to General Maths. I hope that you find this is a really relevant and interesting course that you can do well at. Now unfortunately I'm sick this week so I won't be in class. So I've made you this video to help you learn the concepts in the workbook that your relief teacher should have given you. Let's go. So this is the workbook that you should have. It's topic 1, interest and borrowing. I'm just going to go over a couple of key words here that will help us in our work today. And the first one is lender. So the lender is the person lending the money. And it's in this little picture here, he's got an L over his head, lender. The borrower is the person receiving the money. You can see the box of gold paper or gold coins passing from the lender to the borrower. The principal is the amount of money being borrowed. So principal is that box, the box of money being borrowed from the lender to the borrower. And then of course the borrower has to pay it back. So the borrower pays back the principal, but also a fee, usually, plus interest. And interest is a percentage of the borrower's amount. So let's talk about simple interest. So there are two types of interest. There's simple interest and there's compound interest. For simple interest, the interest paid is a fixed percentage of the original amount borrowed. So the interest paid remains constant for the duration of the investment or loan. Now that's not the case with compound interest, and we'll find that out later. So the interest is fixed percentage of the amount borrowed. Now you can pay interest on money that you borrowed, or you can get interest on money that you invested. It works out in the same way. All right, now there's a formula. Interest equals principal, the amount that you borrowed, times the interest rate per annum as a decimal, that's really important, times by n in years. So sometimes that's where it gets a little tricky. Okay, shall we start the first question? We're going to calculate the simple interest paid on an investment of $8,000 at a flat rate of 7% per annum over 18 months. Now flat rate means simple interest. So interest equals P times I times N. So $8,000 now we need the interest rate as a decimal. How do we get 7% as a decimal? Let's just write it down first of all and do that problem next. We also need the 18 months in years. So $8,000. Okay, so a decimal, we're going to divide by 100. To get months into years, we're going to divide by 12. And that's the amount of interest that's paid on that investment. Okay, so George is investing $2,700, 5% per annum. So 5% per year. For 8 years. Find the total value of the investment. So we're not just finding the interest, we're finding the total value of the investment. So that's the interest, total value, $3,780. So it's really important that the units for R and N are consistent. So if R is the interest rate per annum or per year, then N must be in years as well. If R is the interest rate per day, then N must be in days as well. And we'll do some more work about that. So let's look at this first question. Julia invested her inheritance of $15,520 at 6.35% per annum for 20 months. We're going to calculate the amount of simple interest that she earned. Okay, so we've got 5% divided by 100 equals 0.05. Just as an example of how we would get a percentage into a decimal, we would divide by 100. So percent to decimal, divide by 100. Now to go months to years, so for example 21 months to years, we divide by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. Okay, just examples that might help us when we do this question. So I equals PIN, 15,520 times 6.35% times 20 months. Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to change the percentage into a decimal, and we also need to change the months into a year. So 15,520 times 6.35 divided by 100 times 20 over 12. 12 because there's 12 months in a year. And all up we get 164253. On to our next question, and Joseph, who's investing $7,500 at 4.6%, simple interest for 4 years. We're going to calculate the amount of interest Joseph earned and the value of his investment at the end of 4 years. So we've got 7,500 times 4.6 times 4. Now we can't have that percentage there, we need to change it to a decimal. And that means dividing by 100. And our answer is 1380. Okay, so the value of his investment. So he puts money away and then gets interest on it. So it's going to be the investment plus the interest. So 7,500 plus 1,380. Last question. Amin is borrowing money this time and she's being charged interest, so she has to pay interest. The loan's for 5 years. How much interest does she have to pay? So she's got $10,000 times 7.25% times 5 years. Changing that into a decimal. So she pays $3,625 in interest. So the total loan is $10,000 plus $3,625. Okay, now we want to pay this back in monthly installments. Well, you're going to pay back all of this money divided by 12, and that amounts to $1,135.42 per month. Now that's assuming that she paid it back over 12 months, so over 1 year. If she paid it back over a longer period, then each monthly repayment would be less. So a couple of key skills here. First of all, changing percentages to decimals. We divide by 100 to get decimals for the formula. We can't have percentages in the formula, we must have decimals, so we divide by 100. The other skill is that the time must match the interest rate. So what that means is that if the interest rate says PA, and you'll notice that the interest rates always have a little time after it. So it might say 7.5% PA. That means per annum. In other words, per year. So if the time is in years, then we have to change the time of the investment to be years as well. So to change months to years, make a fraction month over years, so month over 12, and pop that in the equation. Okay, so here's your turn. These are questions from the textbook, but I know you might not have picked up the textbook yet. So I want you to have a go at these questions. In a few slides are the answers, the worked solutions. So do a question, check your answers. If you've got a problem with it, then DM me and then I'll know to go through that question in class.